school every day. So I want to know if you would support, along with free college for all, free student housing for people like me, because I know a couple of them. And then along with that, I want to know if that free college for all also extends to undocumented students and students who are formerly or currently incarcerated.
Certainly formerly incarcerated. I mean, you were a citizen of the United States. You know, it used to be accepted in this country that when you were no longer incarcerated, you had paid your debt to society. So, and you see this with felons who are not allowed to vote, etc. So that's a really important principle. And I was reading just the other day about how the Department of Homeland Security had set up this fake university in Detroit, or outside Detroit, somewhere in Michigan, in order to lure undocumented students who were looking for student visas. This is so unethical. This is so wrong. But it's all part of it, and on the issue of student housing, I don't know, that's a detail and specific I can't respond to. But it is the consciousness, you know, the issue of the president. The president doesn't have a magic wand, nor should the president have a magic wand. But on so many of these issues, it is the consciousness of the president, both in the people that are appointed to head these various agencies, but also the decision-making process of the president in all of these issues. So underneath the issues aren't always the issue. There's an underlying moral issue. And what you are speaking to, the underlying moral issue, is why would we not be helping you succeed? On what level do we not get that your success is a greater consumer base, greater vibrancy, and the point of the United States of America, that you become all that you can be? That's where America is off. So I don't want to go to Washington just to fight so that you can have a certain right. I want to be in Washington in order to help awaken the American mind to once again return to the notion that a government of the people, by the people, for the people means you. Yeah. That's what, why should it be so hard? Why should it be so hard? You know, every once in a while, you see these stories. Some kid who grew up in deep poverty somewhere, grew up in a car, and now that child has escaped, and that child is now going to an Ivy League school. And we see these stories, and we go, oh, that's so wonderful. But then you ask yourself, why do so many millions of American children have to escape? I was reading last night about how some Good Samaritan, you've probably heard it, it's been all over the news in the last day or two, that with this cold wave, this Arctic vortex, that some Good Samaritan in one of these cities bought 70 hotel rooms for the homeless. Who are we as a people that local governments are doing everything necessary in partnership with churches and corporations to make sure that no one would be outside in this cold? Theologian told, and it had to do with the Good Samaritan. And the story to me displays the transition from a Good Samaritan to a conscious Samaritan. This is the way it goes. So the Good Samaritan, we all know the story of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan is walking down the road, sees a beggar, and gives the beggar alms. And then the Good Samaritan continues down the road. And the Good Samaritan sees another beggar and gives the beggar alms. And then the Good Samaritan continues down the road and sees another beggar and gives the beggar alms. At some point, a light bulb goes off inside the head of the Good Samaritan, and the Good Samaritan asks, why are there so many beggars? That's what we want to ask. In the United States of America, in the richest nation in the world, why is it so hard for so many people? Why? Because of the public, of the huge 40-year-long theft from the public treasury of major material resources of this country into the hands of the proverbial 1%. That's why. Thanks to Oprah Winfrey, and I assume many of you who have bought my books, I've made it into the club in America. I cannot complain. The free market of America, righteous commerce has been good to me. If you're quote unquote in the club in America, it's the most fabulous thing. Not enough people can make it into the club today. That is what is so unsustainable. The American dream isn't just that you can make it or I can make it. The American dream is that anyone can make it. And when I nice they make it. We're not talking about giving handouts. You know, Martin Luther King, one of my favorite Martin Luther King quotes, he said, if they give it to rich people, they call it a subsidy. If they give it to poor people, they call it a handout. So it's a change in our thinking, isn't it? And it's not just saying, when I send somebody to Washington who, you know, you say, I'm going to fight for you. Well, if that person doesn't have a Democratic Congress, you know, it doesn't work that way. We need to awaken. No, this has to be, and that's one of the things that I think, to be honest, Democrats and people on the left do too much. You know, we like to show up for the hot, sexy presidential campaigns, maybe the midterms, and then you kind of go back to your life and hope they'll handle it. People on the right tend to be more sophisticated and mature than that. They know that making sure they get what they need is something they're in there day in and day out. And so the changes that we have to make within ourselves in order to put this country back on track is a change that can't stop after this next election. It has to be a permanent shift inside ourselves. All of us need to see our citizenship, not only its rights, but its responsibilities, as simply a dimension of what it means to be a conscious, mature, and responsible person. And a happier person, because you play in the big game. We have a crisis of adulthood in our society. Too many men have been acting like boys. Too many women have been acting like girls. Grown-ups sometimes have to look at some sobering realities. That's what it means to be a grown-up. Yes, sir. Yes.
Sometimes it's easier to go knock on doors and put signs up and put things on social media than it is just to talk to your friends and family when you know they're on the opposite end of the ideological spectrum from you. So what's your advice when we're really excited to support you over the course of the next year?
Mahatma Gandhi said that the leader of the Indian independence movement was the small, still voice within. I want to empower you, not disempower you. That means I'm not going to give you a script. Say what you feel moved to say. It might be something on your Facebook page, or your Twitter, or your Instagram, or your Snapchat. It might be as simple as, you might want to go here, or you should go here, or do you want to go with me to here, or why don't you check her website, because she's got issues on there up the gazoo. You know, a candidacy like mine is outside the box. And so it takes some time. You know, it takes some time, some exposure, like how would this really work? How does this really happen? And so I absolutely would need your help. And as I said, I understand there's so many candidates, and good candidates, who are going to be coming through Iowa in the next year. So I'm just grateful for anything you do to say to someone, I think you should hear her. I think you want to hear her. Or I'm going to go hear her again. That's how it happens. Political power is not about, you know, all the external ways of strategizing. A win for this candidacy will not come from traditional political strategizing. It will come from the quantum field of tapping into what I believe are the deepest yearnings and aspirations of the American people. What I'm doing is really very traditional. What's happening is the aberration. Does that make sense? So I believe that the social axis of change in America does not occur along a horizontal axis, it occurs along a vertical axis. What do I mean by that? Traditional politics says, let's figure out what to say to what group, let's figure out what to say to them, let's figure out what to say to them. It's so shallow, it's so tawdry. The vertical axis means you simply seek to speak the deepest truth as you understand them. I want to speak from the American in me to the American in you. I think there are times most of us have experienced this in our families. Okay, we're going to have a family meeting. That's what a political campaign is. We need to have a family meeting. I'm not speaking at the deepest level to the white in you, the black in you, the brown in you, the gay in you, the straight in you, the woman in you, the man in you, the religious in you, the not religious in you. I'm speaking to the American in you. We eat pluribus unum, out of many one. Our diversity is our richness. It's extraordinary. The whole idea is you can be anybody you want to be. That's the point. But there's an underlying unity that is formed by our fealty to common principles of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. The idea that all men are created equal. The idea that governments are instituted to secure our rights, not to disempower us. And I believe there is great power in truth-telling. You know, I have learned in my career over 35 we heal in life one aha at a time. Like you read something, you hear something, you go through something, and you go, oh wow, I hadn't seen it that way. And your life changes, you have enough of those moments of clarity. We need that as Americans. Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
As a veteran, on behalf of all veterans, my brothers and sisters that are still in, my question would be, overcoming pain with love, how would that be a military strategy, or how would you use that as a military strategy, and what changes would you make? You know, and against, foreign enemies, how would that, leading with love, how would we be able to not be looked at as a nation of just, oh, we're just lovers and whatnot against foreign enemies, and also what military changes would you make?
Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge, on behalf of, I'm sure, everyone here, thank you for what you've done. As I said before, I have great respect for the military, and any critique I have is not of the military itself. It is for the civilian leadership, which of course we don't want to mess with there being a civilian leadership. That's very important. But too often, military power has been wielded with a lack of emotional sobriety. That's number one. Number two, because we have not waged peace, because we have not put enough attention on peace building, too much of the burden has been put on the military in order to clean up messes that should never even have existed. I'm not a pacifist when I think of what's happening in Afghanistan right now, for instance. And this is an example of how shallow our politics is. Everybody's talking about these peace talks with the Taliban, removing the 15,000 troops from Afghanistan. For most Americans, this is kind of like, oh good, we're gonna bring them home, let's bring them home. I mean, has anybody in this room given more than 5 minutes of thought, because maybe you saw an article in the paper or on the news of the fact that we might be soon bringing troops home from Afghanistan? Has anybody given that more than 5 minutes of thought? That's what's wrong with America. Do you know what's going to happen to the women of Afghanistan and the Taliban take some from us? Because if you really think about that, and this is an example of how the use of military, having our military there. Now, I appreciate that it's the choices between something bad and something bad. Don't get me wrong. But it's the lack of consciousness. That fact that our president would not be I would be heartbroken. I'm not saying I wouldn't bring the troops back, but I can tell you this, that the consciousness that would prevail within my decision making would be such that I couldn't for a minute not think deeply about the fact of what it will mean for the women of Afghanistan if the Taliban take over. So it is a lack of sobriety. You know, one of the things, I'm a little bit of a World War II buff. When you look at Churchill, and you look at Franklin Roosevelt, and you look at the deep emotional sobriety, the attitude with which they waged World War II simply because it needed to be done. That's a use of military power that I think Americans can support. But since World War II, so much of the application of military power has been used, Vietnam War, the Iraq invasion, etc. And even when you look at the invasion of Iraq, where were we? Where were we? Not just where was George Bush, not just where was Dick Cheney, where were we? They were going to invade a country that had done nothing to us, had nothing to do with 9/11. And even if they have weapons of mass destruction, grow up! We do business with countries that have weapons of mass destruction every day. It has to do with us also. And then look how the U.S. military, and nobody, we have enough evidence. The military commanders were going, why are we doing this? This wasn't the military's fault. Because you hear about general after general after general who come and tell